camera, speed.
What's up guys, Jacob Owens here, and today I'm bringing you a tutorial of the Doubt It Kyle video that I shot, directed, and edited. I put to Instagram, did you guys want to see an edit tutorial on the Kyle Doubt It video? And I got a ton of responses like, yes, please do it, please, please. So, I'm doing it. So I'm just going to go through briefly a quick rundown of the edit and what I did, different color effects and stuff I used. So, I opened up Premiere. When I open up Premiere, drag all my files in. Sometimes I organize the files, other times I don't. In this case, I didn't organize any of the files. Here are the red files over here to the left. And I apologize if my computer's a little slow. I'm exporting some videos in the background right now. But here you can see the video files on the left here. And basically, I'm just going to get right into it. So my process for editing a music video is I always start with the performance takes first. So I go through and I edit, I lay in basically the first performance take. I go in and drag in the first performance take and I run through and I chop each, like the good segments out. So I'll go through and right here you can see this is all one take down through here, and I'll go and chop out the good moments, the moments that stand out to me the most. For example, if this was a really good moment right here, and then this was a bad moment, I would take out that bad moment and keep these two good moments here. From there, then I lay in the next, I'll drag in and lay in the next performance take. Go through, do the same thing, chop out good moments, bad moments, go in, lay the next performance take. So basically my process is performance take, chop out good moments, bad moments, next performance take, chop out good moments, bad moments, next performance take, and I kind of just go through and lay out all my performances first, all my performance takes. Then from there, I go back in and dial in some of the B-roll. I'll throw in B-roll here or there where there's moments where it gets a little boring or there's a little gaps in performances. I'll start to piece in the B-roll. But I always do performance takes first, edit the video, then B-roll. Then from there, I start to do the effects. So that's just a little quick rundown of my process as far as editing and editing a music video. But now I'm just going to get into what I did for this video. So here at the beginning, we have a shot right here, a Ronin shot coming around the side of the car of Julia. And that's the title shot where we lay the title. Now for this title, to get this effect where it looks kind of see-through and it's kind of opaque, but you can kind of see the background behind it, what I did is I took the title, the PNG file right here, or I placed the PNG file in here, and then I selected an overlay. And so what I did is I came in here to the opacity, and I switched the blend mode to overlay. And that's what's giving it kind of that see-through look a little bit, and where it's kind of got some of the texture still behind the image as well. It's not just opaque, it's just I blended it into the image using overlay. And I also faded it in. Right here you can see I used keyframes to fade it in, and then I left the highest I took the opacity up to, actually I took it all the way up to 100. So yeah, that is strictly just the blend mode layer, and you can see if I switch it here back to normal, what that's gonna do. Give it a second here, there it goes. So you can see that is the logo and the title. And to give it a little more of a unique look, I just used an overlay, blend mode, overlay to kind of give it that look. So that's what I did for the title shot. Yeah. Moving on, going into the music video portion of the edit, one of the biggest things I can always harp on is cutting to the beat. So this intro part, you'll listen, there's not really, the beat does not drop, so I let this first clip drag on and play out until that first beat, which happens right here, and then when that first beat comes in, I switch clips. So watch it here. Flowers, but that's something only I know. What I want is mine if I say. So as soon as that bass comes in and that hit comes in on that beat, I switch clips. And one of the biggest things people, I can harp on people is edit to the beat of the music. If there's sounds, beats, whatever, use those sounds in the music to cut to. It's going to make your pacing, your edit that much stronger. Moving on here. So once the music picks up again, switching to the bigger performance shot with the car moving. So with this music video, there's not too much effects and different things going on. It's a pretty straightforward edit. You can see just jumping to the next clip, jumping to this clip. I'll get into where I did a few effects, but this video wasn't very effect heavy. It was more so just kind of a straightforward cut and edit situation, but the basketball court is where we start to get a few different little effects. One of the effects that I use mainly, so I'll skip to that here. They know I'm up next. Curly had a kill. She sent me the text. Yeah, I've been the dude. So again, actually, before I move on to that, just going back to timing and pacing. The music kind of slows here as he changes up his flow, and so I let this clip drag on here. They know I'm up next. Curly had a kill. She sent me the text. And then as soon as there's a kick, I switch clips, and then when the beat comes in, switch clips again. Yeah, I've been the dude since I made a YouTube. So now moving on to the basketball court. With the basketball court shots, I wanted to give kind of a raw, more handheld feel for some of the shots because the beat really picks up here. But one of the main things I do effect-wise to really enhance these shots are I do motion keyframes. And this is super easy. You can do this inside of Premiere and right here. So you can see what I've done is I've scaled, I've used scale and position keyframes under the motion tab, under the effects tab, to enhance the movement of this clip to kind of fit the music a little better. So you can hear as the beat hits right there, it starts to push in. You can see the keyframe. I start a keyframe right here, and so it pushes in on that beat, and then it pops back out. So it's like boom, boom, and it pops in. And so what that does is subtly just adds a really cool, unique little effect. I use this nearly on every video. A lot of times I use it for transitions where I'll zoom in all the way at the end of a clip, and then I'll take the next clip and zoom all the way out. And it's a cool like push in, zoom out transition. But I do this a lot on the beat of the music. I'll keyframe motion to kind of give it a cool. So again, I'll go to another one where I do the same thing. So since this isn't rendered right now, I'm just gonna take off the color so I can show you guys better the clips, and then I'll dive into the color after that. So again, here we go. Another motion keyframe. You can see my keyframe set up right in here. And I'll show you guys how to do this too. It's super easy. So I transition on this clip right here on the beat. As soon as the beat hits right here, it starts to zoom in, and then it zooms out. And then moving into this clip, as soon as that beat hits right here, it starts to move in, and then it pulls out slightly. So see how that adds just a cool little unique effect? I mean, that's something that's super simple. It's just a motion keyframe. And now how you do that, I'm going to show you how to do that right here. So for example, there's a big beat right here. So what I'm going to do is find that moment where that bass comes in, which is right there. I'm going to come into the motion effects tab under motion. I'm going to make a keyframe right before that beat comes in, like one frame. So I'll go back one. I'm going to set this keyframe. Then I'm going to skip forward maybe 2 to 3 frames. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to set another keyframe, and this is where I'm going to boost this up to maybe, I'll do 150. Then I'll skip forward about 3 more frames and set another keyframe and set it back to 100. So now, as simple as that, we've now just created that motion keyframe effect that's going to punch in and out to the music and give a really cool effect. So you can see it right here. And we can enhance that a little more by making the either keyframe shorter or longer, or just zooming in a little more. And then once you've done this and say you want him to be more centered up, you just need to keyframe the position as well. So we're going to come through and we're going to keyframe each position. And then, so that way when it zooms in, we're going to drag the X axis right here so we can frame him up a little better. And now when we zoom in, it'll change the position of the shot to center him up.
Nigga, I'm a gamer, yeah. Nigga, I'm a gamer, yeah. Nigga, I'm a gamer, yeah. Nigga, I'm a gamer, yeah.
So that's one of these effects I use in almost every video, and an effect I use heavily in this video, and pretty much the only effect. Otherwise, the edit was pretty much straightforward. Just cutting to the music again and using this motion effects kind of keyframe to create some cool, subtle effects. Now, regarding color of this video, I had a lot of people ask me about what I did for the color. And how I color my videos is I always come in here and I add an adjustment layer. So you're going to come over here, add new item, adjustment layer. And what I do is I take that adjustment layer, and you can name it if you want to. So for example, this is going to be my color. And I take that adjustment layer and I'm going to drag it over the clips or my entire timeline, which you can see is right here. This is my color adjustment layer, which I've laid out over my entire timeline. And I'm going to just get rid of that for a second. And I've also, I don't know if you can see here, but I've added some 35mm Lush 6K grain. This was a little grain that I overlaid, and you can see this is what the grain looks like. Normally, it's just a clip just of grain that is used to add grain to your shots. You can buy it. I think this was from rgrain.com, something like that. But anyways, I took this grain. We wanted to add a little more of a kind of film vibe to it, less so polished. So I took this film grain clip, I overlaid it over the video, and then I selected blend mode under opacity, and I selected overlay. So if you so this is going to blend it into the image, which you can see here. If I zoom in, you can see it here, but I'm going to zoom in just to show you guys a little better. So you can kind of see, just kind of gives it this little bit of this film grain look, a little more filmic, less digital. Now if I get rid of this grain, you're going to see a difference in this image here. Boom. So slightly just adds that little extra right there. So on, off, on. Cool. So again, added grain to the color of this video just to give it a little more of a film look. I'm gonna get rid of that right now. Just talk about color. So how I color my videos, I always drag in an adjustment layer. You can name it color if you want to, but I drag in my adjustment layer, and then from there I come into the effects tab, I go to Lumetri, select Lumetri color. I'm going to drag that onto my adjustment layer, and from here, here's where I can start to do all my coloring. And I can go into this color tab right here and really dial in the color from using their color tab they have in Adobe Premiere. I think I have, what do I have? Premiere Pro CC 2015. So under their color tab here, this is where you can start to color everything. They have their basic corrections, creative, curves, color wheels, HSL, secondary, vignette, etc. So what I did is I came into the creative tab, and this is where you can input a LUT. I use the majority of the time I use my LUTs to color correct the different LUT bundles I've created. Links to my LUT bundles in the description below. But I think for this one I used a LUT from Lutify.me. They got some, Lutify.me has some really cool LUTs, really awesome grading tools that they have. But so I would just come in here, I'm gonna find where I keep all my LUTs, and I'm just gonna apply one of the Lutify.me LUTs. So I'm just gonna select this Marston marble and I'm gonna hit open. So what that's gonna do is now apply a LUT to this footage. Boom, you can see it there. Now this isn't the LUT I used for this video. I'm just showing you guys really quickly, you know, how I color inside of Premiere and how I color this. I'll show you the color for this specific video in a second. So from here, that's how I imported a LUT. That's how you can import a LUT, and then you can adjust the intensity of that LUT. You can make it stronger, you can make it weaker, you can add a more faded film look here, really wash it out. You can adjust the sharpness of the clip, the vibrance, saturation. Let's just boost the vibrance and lower the saturation really quickly just to kind of show you guys some different things. Increase the warmness. Let's crush the blacks. Now this isn't gonna look good by any means. I'm just showing you guys that inside Premiere, this is how I color and where I color. So yeah, cool. So that's what I do here. I'm gonna go back to the color that I actually used for this video now. I'm gonna delete that, boom. And here is the color I used. I'm gonna drag that over my adjustment layer. An adjustment layer, whatever you put on this adjustment layer will affect anything below it. So I have my color effects set on this adjustment layer, thus anything below it is now colored by this. Alright, so my adjustment layer is highlighted right now, and under the effects controls tab you can see the different things I have added. I have my lumetri color, I have levels, which I use pretty often on every video, and Magic Bullet Looks. Magic Bullet Looks has a few different little effects and plugins I pretty much use on every video as well, so I highly recommend that, and I'm going to show you guys all these three things right here real quick. So lumetri color, I come into lumetri color, and for this video I cooled off the temperature a little bit. I wanted to have it a little cooler feeling, not so warm, so I took it down towards the blues, -5. Boosted the contrast ever so slightly. I took the highlights down. Didn't want the highlights blown out. Wanted to retain the highlights a little more. And that's just the basic correction. I didn't do too much in the basic correction. But here's the creative. So under creative is where I inputted my LUT. I selected the Moldavite LUT from Lutify.me. If I come back in here, so under Lutify.me, Lutify me's color LUTs bundle, I selected the Moldavite LUT, which is right here. I selected that, placed it on there, and I dropped the intensity a little bit. It was a little too intense for me, so I dropped the intensity a little bit. I added a faded film look. Oops, that just went away. I added a faded film look to just help give it a little more of a filmic look. I really like adding pretty much to every video that's not like a super contrasty video. I love to add a little of the faded film, anywhere from about 20 to 30. You can see really quick if I jack that up what it looks like. I'm gonna do 75 just so you guys can see. So boom, you can see the faded look on the video there. Now obviously that's way too strong, so I'm gonna take it back down to 30, but I had it set to 30. Boosted the sharpness a little bit, and I boosted the vibrance and saturation slightly. Wanted it to have a very kind of vibrant, saturated look, really bring out the blues and the oranges of the video. And then down here in the color wheels, I took the shadows slightly towards the blues and purples. I like, pretty much for all of my videos, I like to have the shadows have a hint of blue to the shadows. I pretty much do that for any video. I always usually take my shadows a little bit towards the blues and purples. Midtones, ever so slightly raised it to towards the yellow over here, red, and highlights as well. The centers here about on the circle, raised that a little bit. So took the highlights and midtones a little to the yellows, oranges, and shadows down to the blues. And then lastly on the color correction front, under the lumetri color effect, I used a vignette. So I took the vignette about to a -1.5. I usually like anywhere from a -1.5 to a 3. 3 is a little strong. You can go all the way to -5, but -1.5, and then I usually feather it around to a 75. Anything less than that in the vignette, usually for my taste, becomes a little too harsh. It shows up way too much, and it's like really apparent. It's like, oh, there's a strong vignette on there. So usually around 70 to 75 is where I put my vignette, and it just kind of helps soften and darken the edges slightly and bring your focus towards the subject and what's going on in the frame. You can kind of see right here vignette, and it just slightly fades off. And the reason it fades off so nicely is because I feather it to a 75. The less than you bring that, you're gonna see just a hard line coming across here, and it's gonna be much more apparent. So here you can see with it barely feathered at all, you can just see this kind of ugly vignette right here. So again, that's why you want to feather it off, give it a nice look. Alright, so that's quickly to look at the Lumetri color effect and kind of coloring wise. Then levels, what I always do is I typically only play with two things under the levels tab here. This is usually set at 255. I usually lessen it a little bit around 240, 245. Kind of gives the whites a little bit of a punchier look. So real quickly, I'll just show you the image set to 255, and then I'm going to drop it drastically just so you can kind of see that what it does. It brightens the whites of the image. So you can see big change there in how it really affects the whites of the image. So usually just drop that a little bit, like to enhance that a little bit, and then the black input levels, the other thing that I mess with, it's usually set to 0, and it's depending on the video and the look, I'll change it anywhere from about 5 to maybe even 25, but this one I had it set at 8, and this helps just crush the blacks of the image ever so slightly, just so it's not too faded. So yeah, I use the levels effect a lot when editing. And then lastly, Magic Bullet. What I did in Magic Bullet, I'm about to show you really quick, and the two things I use in there. So I'm going to click this edit tab, and it's going to bring me into Magic Bullet looks. Here we go. And so for this video in particular, I used Cosmo and I used spot exposure. Cosmo, what this does, it helps smooth out the skin a little bit and just kind of create a more glossy look. I wanted to have this have a little bit of a glossy look, so I used Cosmo to kind of help with the skin of our lead actors and actresses, or whatever, our talent, you would say. And then a spot exposure. And what I did for the spot exposure is this kind of helps along with the vignette. The spot exposure, basically I'm able to control where I want a certain, where I want the exposure to be brightened a little bit. So I didn't do too much here. All I did was boost it about 1/10 of a stop, just a little bit. You can see if I drag this, what it does to the image, and you can see that depending on the radius of what I choose, you can choose the exposure and really heighten and spot treat the image to expose it differently. So just for this video, I wanted the image, whatever is in the middle here, to be slightly brightened ever so slightly. So I just set it to, again, it can go the opposite way, but I set it to just +10, just enhance it a little bit. And really quickly, I didn't use it on this video, but two of the other kind of things I use in here heavily, I use the pop filter, and you can kind of see if I drag it from 0 to 100, what it does to the image. So I'll use that on videos anywhere from 10 to 25%. I didn't use it on this one, but I use this effect a lot. And then lastly, I love to use this, and I almost use it on every video. The only reason I didn't use it on this video is because it gave too much a dreamlike feel that the artist and management didn't necessarily want. And it's such a cool effect. It could have worked for this video. We didn't use it, but what I love to do for this, I love to use the diffusion filter under the matte tab, and I come in here and I make it happen to the highlights only. This affects, now if I drag it to 0, you can see it kind of affects the whole image. If I drag it up to 100%, then it's only going to attack the highlights of the image. And this kind of just gives this glow dreamlike filter effect to it, and I use this in a lot of videos again. And I'm going to enhance the glow to about 100%, and then usually the size of it, I drag it down anywhere from 10 to 20%. We could do, let's just do 20 for this sake. And then the grade, you can see 0, 100, 0, or 6, whatever. You can see what it does and how like dreamy that looks. So I'm gonna just set it to a 2.5, and you can see when I flip this on and off, just it gives this dreamlike glow feel to the video. So that's why I use this a lot. These are the four main filters inside of Magic Bullet Looks I use heavily. So I'm just gonna click that off. Then once you've applied your filters and effects in here, finished, and now everything will be applied. So yeah, trying to think if there's any last thing for this video, what I did or didn't do. I added slight subtle sound effects to the image or to the video to kind of enhance the visual a little bit. For example, when the music's playing here at the beginning and we have the title shot happening and her walking around the car, I have the subtle ocean waves crashing beach sound effect happening. So it's very subtly in the background, having this kind of wave, kind of ocean rolling sound effect, and that just enhances the video. Anytime you can add subtle sound effects that work for your video, whether it's the beginning, end, or somewhere in between, that's always cool. So again, on this, and same thing with this driving shot here at the end, there's a car driving shot as the car drives away. It's an aerial shot we got with the DJI Phantom, and as the car drives away, I not only put that same ocean wave kind of shot here because we have the oceans off to the side, just to enhance that idea of the audio being there by the beach, but I also threw in a car sound effect as it drives away. I looked up a muscle V8 car driving, found an audio clip, and I imported it into the video file, and I have it slightly fade out because the car is getting further and further away from us in the shot. So it starts off nice and close, driving, and as the shot gets further along, I have the audio fade out and the video fades out as well. So yeah, and then to export the video, you set your in and out points, I, O. Once your video is done, you come into here, you go File, Export, Media, bang, bang. Coming in here, we're gonna go QuickTime File. Now I have a custom preset in here. I just made QuickTime 1080 file. This is just a 1080 file. You're gonna name your file. I'm just gonna say Kyle Doubt It. Save to the specific drive you want. Make sure this is set to scale to fit on the source scaling. And then basically my settings for this preset are video codec, Apple ProRes 422, quality set to 100, 1920 by 1080, because that is the 1080 file. We're gonna 2396 frame rate, progressive field order, square pixels, render at maximum depth, 48-bit, and then we're gonna check these two boxes, use previews, render maximum quality, and then you're gonna hit Q and send that to export, and then that would be exporting over here. And that's how you export the video. So I hope this video helped. I hope you guys learned a couple tips or tricks or anything to help your editing process or editing skills. Appreciate you guys watching. Again, links to my different products like LUT bundles, tutorials, video treatments are in the description below. Make sure you check those out. Give this video a thumbs up and a like if you liked it and want to see more. I appreciate you guys, and that's it. Until next time, later guys.